And the question that I have for us today, for us to consider and for us to talk about and for us to dig deeper into this, because I'm really needing some help. And that is, how do we be the light in the darkness? Those darknesses that is the rage and violence and confusion and disappointment and sorrow and sadness and betrayals and lies and do you hear what I'm saying? And this is like a broad, like out there broad, but it's also in here that is affecting, personally affecting us. So that's the general conversation, because when we come together in our heart and soul gathering, these are the moments not only for us to come together and to speak what is so for us because we have this forum, also to know that we're supported, that we need, because we are physical, human, having those experiences with also that spiritual aspect of who we are. We're both. And the tools are essential in moving through these times specifically, these times right now. There's so many people who are ever doing these kinds of seeing how things happen on like astrological levels, whatever, not something I follow, but they're saying these are the times. There is uncovering of the falsehoods so that we can have the truths, the uncovering of those darkness so we can have the light, which is already there. As we know, it's like there's no such thing really as darkness, because if it's dark, you just turn on the light. That's how it is. Like a dark room, what do? You turn on the light. And so we are turning on the light even brighter now, as that light, as that truth, as the force of good. Good must come from this, because there's a huge calling for change. Huge calling for change. We cannot sustain ourselves the way we've been up until previously, because everything is falling apart. Everything is going upside down. There's no accident about that. We have been calling forth something within us. All of us, something else, not this. We've been given something else. And because this is the beginning stages of then what emerges in this process, how are we fortified, and how can we remember that we are the light? Because we are here to participate in this unfolding. We're here to participate in whatever is next. The reason why I know that is because you're here. You are here. That's how I know that. That's all I need to know. Because you're here to participate in some way. In some way. Within. So, I'm opening up the call now. Doug, are you available to manage that? I don't know if Doug. Let's see if he's around.
Hi.
Yes, thank you. Just jump in, because I don't know what Doug is.
Yes, I'll keep an eye on the hand raising. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. And thank you, Dorayne. I have been my pulse on what's happening, because it took me, seeing all this took me back to the 60s when I was 12 years old. And at 12 years old, I remember the exact moment when and I was at my cousin's home, and we were down in the basement dancing, and all of a sudden my aunt yelled down the steps, and everything went into slow motion. And I lived in a town called Mount Oliver in Pittsburgh, and I was at my cousin's house that was in St. Clair Village. So there were three different sections to this housing project. And Bonifay, and I went up steps, all of us, it's like we couldn't even hear each other talking because we were just in such grief about what was happening. And then I went home to be with family, and it was like slow motion. And when this started happening again, it took me back to there as well. So I had a grief so deep. And then in my heart, I'm calling to someone to represent nonviolence in Martin Luther, you know, of our ancestors. That's what I found myself doing. I'm like, Gandhi, you know, I'm just going down the list in my heart and saying, someone come forth. And because there's such rage going on, so much anger going on, and, you know, over the violence, I felt by what I saw. I felt traumatized by this. And to me, I feel like it's been like this in my life, and it's been like this in history, that it gets worse before it gets better. Everybody thought Band-Aid that was put on would suffice. And now, as today Michael Beckwith put it, the veil is lifting. You know, that's what apocalypse is. And the veil is lifting, and we are seeing what's still going on. And it's no longer okay. It's not okay. However, I have a deep sadness about this whole thing. I'm angry as well, but I have a sadness about it that is really in my neighborhood where I went to high school, and the friend's store got looted very violently last night. And people were chanting, "Burn it down, burn it down." My friend Helen is in her 70s. She's been at this corner store since I was in high school, you know? And they don't even know who you know, they don't even, the people that were doing it, they're not, to me, in my heart, true protesters. They're just so angry. They're so angry. And where's mine? Where's mine? And another friend, her Pittsburgh, you know, in downtown. And I just keep, but I'm not going to ignore some of the emotions that are coming up in me, but I just keep praying. And I know that in my life, I've seen things have to get worse before they get better. And what appears as darkness is exactly that. It's appearances. And that now it's time for all of us to come together in peacefulness and nonviolence so that we can shine the light on and support and be a part of the change that needs to happen. I mean, I can't even believe that I'm experiencing this in 2020. Like, it feels so surreal to me. I don't have a comprehension or understanding of all this, but I do know I feel like I'm in replay. That's what it feels like in my heart. And I feel like really sad. Mostly I feel really sad. And I have a lot of compassion, and I keep praying for the people that are so angry, because like I said, I grew up in that community, you know, and my wish is for people to experience a different feeling of safety. Like, I want people to experience a feeling of safety in their life. And I don't know, I've just cried a lot. I'm grieving a lot. And I pray, and I sing, and I put vibrations out into this earth, and I put things on, even on my TV, that are certain levels of megahertz to go out into the world. And that's all I know. That's all I know.
Namaste.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for
Deborah.
sharing your experience of the past, and also this time now in what you are doing, because now you're not 12, and there's something more that you are doing now that you couldn't do when you were 12. And thank you for saying that. One that I heard was that you're just calling out to those who are our ancestors, those who've gone before us, those who have been the voice and the force of good in that way of nonviolence, that the presence of nonviolence, which is compassion. And so we call them now, we call them whoever is in physical form today as well. People like Marshall Rosenberg, who wrote and teaches all over the world nonviolent communication. There are so many people who have not been heard, whose needs are absolutely not met. And this is the vehicle, perhaps this is what they have chosen this moment to express those unmet needs destructively and inappropriately, yes. But the anger is, let me say this, anger is a tool. It's a powerful tool. The tool that anger gives us is the tool to show us what has been wrong, unjust, unfair, so that what can we do? Make it right. That's the purpose of anger, is to have it be the fuel to make right. Wow, see that? Bam. To make right what is not right. So we use that as a tool. And this is the opportunity we have right now. So these people who have taken this anger and are making it right, as in protesting, there are those who are making it in their minds so angry that this is the outlet that they've chosen to be destructive. So what is there then for us? If we can't do something about making something right, we have to forgive.
I just wanted to say at 12, I did do a lot. That's when I became politically active, was from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You stepped on that path.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, anger is an amazing tool, and it is a tool to help us remember something that's important so that we can make right something that's not right, that's unfair, unjust. And we do it in the appropriate ways that harms no one. That as a spiritual person, that's my commitment to myself, is that let me be the force that helps as long as it harms no one. So anyway, I just put that out there about anger. And anyone else? Of course, there's a lot of people who want to share. So
Thank you.
Share. Thank you.
Pamela's hand was up at one point. Pamela, did you want to say anything?
Okay, I think I figured it out. Sorry, a week's a long time in my brain. I forget how to do things. I did put it up and then I put it down because I kind of lost track of what I wanted to say. And so now it's up again. I try to live my life, and I think I've mentioned this when we were talking in the past about other things, to understand, again, to truly know and believe and practice in your life the thought that we are one. So if someone is mentally or emotionally or physically harmed, we are harmed. Okay, we are harmed. And so I have a couple things. Well, one thing, one of my points, I was just making some notes. So when I did get to talk, I can remember what I wanted to say. I think it is important in those teeny tiny everyday situations in life that we stand up if we see an injustice, or if we can help. Like, I don't care if it's, and regardless if they're Caucasian or black or Mexican, or I don't know what Russian, I don't care. But we need to stand up if we see some injustice. If someone is in need, like one of the things I kind of live by is if I see kids selling something on the side of the street, no matter how big a hurry I'm in, I always stop. I mean, usually whatever they're selling, it's 25 cents, 50 cents, lemonade, Kool-Aid, I don't care, whatever. If you go to a garage sale and kids have a little section where they're selling something of their own, buy something for a quarter, a nickel, a dime, a dollar, whatever. It's not going to change your life as much as it might change theirs, and not the money as much necessarily as the interaction. Okay, I will tell you, it was very scary when this reminds me, I was not around when or not old enough anyway, when the Martin Luther King thing happened that Deborah was sharing earlier. But I very much, as I'm sure we all were around when the Ferguson incident happened. And I live in Kauai now, but I lived in Missouri at that time. That's my home state. And I used to do research for the federal government. And I was working at that time in St. Louis, Missouri, which is where Ferguson is. It's a suburb. And I was working in North County, which is a more economically challenged area. And I was in neighborhoods, and with my research, I literally went to people's houses, made appointments, and then I went and interviewed them, people who are involved in research studies. And 99.99% of the houses I went to were Black, African-American, immigrants, oftentimes people who spoke English as a second language. This wasn't their native country, so on and so forth. So I was like kind of in the heart of this. And I will tell you, it was some of the nicest, kindest, most understanding, considerate people that I've ever met. They were concerned for my safety. They were like, now you get out of this neighborhood before it gets dark. People will kill each other and different things. And it was, anyway, so I just want to say I've been in that environment, and it's interesting because especially during this time, because I'm a white woman, I have blonde hair. Well, it's kind of gray now, but it used to be blonde. And I have also been recently, and I mean in the last 10 years or so, sort of victimized by racism because all of this is happening. And I had some young Black girls. I was just walking down the sidewalk, and it was between two buildings, and they were taking up the whole sidewalk. And so as I got closer, I just kind of smiled and I said, "Pardon me, ladies." And they're like, I don't even remember now, it's been years, but it said something about my blonde hair, take my racist ass to the parking lot and get out of this neighborhood, sort of thing. Whatever. And I stopped and I had a conversation with them. And I think, and by the time I left, we were friends, and I think it's hard to hurt people that you truly have gotten to know or love or spent time with. And so I would just encourage everyone, for me, there's always a good time for prayer, but I think this is a time for action. And I really encourage everyone. I had a conversation, wonderful conversation, I'll never forget as long as I live, with a Black woman at the gas station when I was in St. Louis. And she was at the pump right across from me, how they have each side. So we were no more than, 3 feet apart at one point. And so I just started a conversation with her, and I said, do you live around here? How have things been for your life, and so on and so forth. So I think we need to, everyone, and Black people need to do this with white people, but we all need to reach out. I think people are hurting because they don't feel heard, they don't feel loved, they don't feel understood, they don't feel like anybody's listening, and nobody seems to care. And so I would just encourage that we all start up conversations, get to know your neighbors, whatever ethnicity they are. You know, talk to people at the grocery store who are in front of you in line. If, you know, if someone's there and they're short $1.50 and you can spare it, my God, save them the embarrassment and give them the money they need to buy their groceries. You know, and I'm not saying you have to go out and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars or spend tons of time, but take the time to connect with people. Because I know, like, a lot of my Black friends, mostly back on the mainland, have said, you know, you're one of the only white friends that I have. And I think that's insane. We're just people. And if we truly believe we're all one, why are we not talking to each other? I think that would save, and not just talking, but listening. Listen to each other. Ask them, how are they doing? And then don't just let them get by with say, I'm doing good, how are you? No, really, how are you doing? How are you doing with all this that's going on? What do you think about it? You're scared? I'm also scared. You know, I just think compassion and remembering, if that's true, that we are all one, we have to take action. Okay, if this was happening to our brother or our husband or our dad or whatever with Mr. Floyd, we would not possibly be holding a prayer vigil. We would be off our ass and we would be out there doing something. And I'm not encouraging raiding businesses. I think that's very sad and kind of scary, but I understand the anger. They don't feel like anybody's listening. Nothing's changing. So let's be proactive. Don't wait for them to burn your business down before you have a conversation with them. Go, you know, and this is probably not the easiest time to go talk to someone, but when it calms down a minute, go talk to people, make friends. I have Muslim friends who are some of the nicest, kindest, most interesting people in the world. I've learned so much. They actually came from Afghanistan, and we were neighbors back in the day, and we're still friends on Facebook, even though we live, you know, thousands of miles apart. But I was able to talk to them, you know, about their culture. Why do you believe this? Why do you do that? Why do you wear that thing on your head? What's this for? What's that for? And they enjoyed that someone took the time to ask something. You know, these are real individual people. So let's have some real individual conversations. That's my thought. Thank you for listening.
Beautiful. Pamela, namaste. Thank you so much. Thank you for reminding us this is the time to take action. And what's a very simple action to take is to take time to talk and to listen to the very people that are right here in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. Jackie's up next.
Okay.
Go, Jackie. Thank you.
Okay. I'm kind of like Pamela. Is my voice being heard right now? Okay. Gosh, I share the sentiments of the two speakers after Dorayne and before me. In watching the riots, I was just having a flurry of so many emotions washed over me. Being the daughter of a Black man and having Black sons, I totally understand I feel like I'm in a bubble. I live in a suburb of Dallas, but I'm well aware of the rage and the injustices. And I just appreciate hearing the perspectives of two women who I believe are two white women who have opened themselves up to see non-judgment. And so when I think of my sons going out into the world as Black men, the thing that scares me most as a mother is judgment. Judgment of my sons before someone even knows them. And my son is a runner, like Ahmaud Arbery was a runner, and I am literally scared to death when he runs in the neighborhood. And especially if it's when the day is almost done, when it's dusk, that someone will see my son and think he's running from a crime or he did something, or they'll make a judgment about him because of his brown skin and his afro. So this is hitting me at all levels. I'm saddened to see the violence that is the non-peacefulness. But then at the same time, Dorayne hit the nail on the head when she said that that is coming out of there's pain and the need to be heard. And so I would just like to ask us as a community that Dorayne and Doug have brought together, and especially Dorayne has orchestrated bringing this group together, to for each one of us as a call to non-judgment. And usually when we judge people, even as a Black woman or as a woman or as a human being or as a spiritual being or as any being, we're all guilty of judging. And so I'm calling to myself the call to non-judgment. Non-judgment of a homeless person, non-judgment of a person that doesn't look like me, non-judgment of just not judging people by what you see. And I guess that's all I have to say. A call to us for non-judgment in whatever its various forms are. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Namaste, Jackie. Thank you so much. What I appreciate about what's happening up until right now is that everyone who has shared not only shared, what was real and true and raw and vulnerable in your heart, but you're also, each one of you, believe it or not, and how wonderful that is, each sharing a little nugget of what we can do. What we can do. We're not just the one venting, this, every blah, 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 blah. We're not just those people. We're actually people also that are saying, here's what we can do. And when we're empowered in this way, we are part of the solution. Thank you for being part of the solution and offering us those. The reminder that we are one. The reminder that we have our own work to do. Internal work to do. If everything is a reflection, if this is a reflection of what's inside us and me collectively, then as I heal myself, my judgments, the violence to myself, the things I do to myself, how I project it out on another, when I heal those things, then I know that I am part of what's happening as a healing in consciousness for the whole. Because I personally can't go over wherever these places are and stop stuff. But I can stop what's in here. I definitely can. So thank you, Jackie.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie. Next up is Dr. John, followed by Jeffrey Ball, followed by Scott, followed by Cecilia. Well, go ahead, Dr. John. I'm going to unmute you. You should be good to go.
Well, I'm really thankful to be here with everyone to process what we're all experiencing, these deep, raw, difficult things to watch and feel. And my heart goes out to everyone who's feeling this. Dorayne started with really, I think the first step is willing to be authentic and allow yourself to feel the pain, to feel others struggle. And one of the things that's interesting to me is the person who just spoke before me talked about her son, her young son. And I also have had the connection with my son. He's not brown skinned, although we're Semitic by heritage, so we're not white skinned. But, just sharing with him and his experience through his eyes as a 17-year-old, this trauma, this violence that's happening and the pandemic. And the thing that comes across for me is that these giant cycles of humanity, and that his generation, I think can and will do better. And we talked about history and, that our country was created as an experiment, as an idea. Where our country is created by bringing people from all different tribes and different groups together in this melting pot. And yet we also have these wounds from the slavery from the beginning, and that obviously there's still a long way for us to go to evolve. and that we as human beings evolve slowly, very slowly. But I have a lot of hope for the next generations, that even though this time is very traumatic, I think also what's happening is that, we've talked about all this change, the dramatic change that this pandemic has brought out for humanity in every corner of the planet. And the virus has no socioeconomic decision. It's hurting the poorest, the most vulnerable people in all of our societies, and shining a bright light on these inequalities. And so just having the conversation, again, the rawness of slavery, the injustices over many, many years to the African-American community, and being able to shine a bright light in this difficult time to do have dialogue, to realize we can do better and we can improve, and that the idea of our country that all men are truly created equal, we obviously haven't achieved that yet, but that every generation hopefully can improve. And this dramatic change also brings great opportunity. And so I think the new generation is watching and learning, and hopefully can move us forward in a more perfect society where we're more aware of others and more able to step into others' plights. And so even though we can see this is a very difficult time, it's also a powerful time. Whenever there's change, there's the ability for goodness to come out, and for a movement and growth individually and collectively. And so I believe too, it's each heart has to change. You have to change in here first. Change your heart in allowing compassion in others. Then you can change your family, and then you can change the world. And so it's beautiful to be able to be in this group with people who are connected in their hearts. And I think observing this is painful, but also very hopeful. So I have a very connection to the pain and sadness, but also lots of hope for the future and the next generations to come. So those are some of my thoughts and ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jonathan.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Who was next?
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Next is Mr. Jeff Ball. Jeff, I just unmuted you.
Okay, now am I coming through?
Yes.
Okay, is my sound better this week?
Hi, Jeff.
Okay. I myself have been pulled over and stopped on multiple occasions in my lifetime for no apparent reason. So just wanted to get that out there. Who knows what could have happened? Luckily, nothing did happen, but I had been thrown against a car and patted up and down, and I don't know if they were pointing a gun at me or not, but it's happened to me. What Dorayne was saying, the good that can come out of it. I think of Malcolm Gladwell and his book, The Tipping Point. And it's kind of like, this wasn't a research paper. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't anything but reality in our face, and a wake-up call, a call to action that we need to change. And an inconvenient truth. My nephew in College Station is a writer for the paper there, and he's had to cover it. But I think for him, it helped empower him that he was able to cover the story versus feeling like there was nothing he could do. But yeah, we just all need to move beyond this and fix our world. Thank you.
Namaste. Thank you, Jeff. Your
Okay.
nephew, you said, that was the one who covered the story. You said your nephew. It's
Yes,
like
in the
these
College Station paper.
College Station.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing, he had that part to play, and he is playing that part. And what I'm
Yes.
hearing is that we all have a part. You know, maybe
Yes.
we're not the journalist. Maybe we're not, you know, politician making the laws. Maybe we're not whatever. But we are participating in some way. We all are being called to action in some way, even in being in this call. And the awareness that your nephew and others, those who are bringing this out even more and more and more and more, is so essential, because we cannot heal what is not revealed. It has to be revealed to be healed. And it's no longer like under a Band-Aid, like Jackie said, you know, or I think she said, but somebody said, it was like, this is something that, or maybe it's Deborah, it's like, this is so big, and it has to stop. It has to stop. It cannot, we're like not taking it anymore. Like all of us, it's all colors of skin are not taking this anymore. That's what this means to me. It's like stopping now. It's stopping, and we are all aware. It's no more anecdotal, or maybe some, you know, like you just shared something. You just shared something that was unfair, unjust, inappropriate, your own life. But that's not going to get in the paper. So it's like more and more and more of these things that come out and go, yes, like the Me Too movement. It's like, yes, me too. This has happened to me too. I have had this thing happen, this unfair, unjust, I was put up against the car, frisk for no apparent reason. Me too. Right? And change happens because more and more people become aware. We become that tipping point. We're the 99%. We are the 99%. No longer being silenced. Doing what we can, our part, whatever that is, to make the change and to bring it about. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Who else? Doug?
Okay. Jeff, thank you. We've got 4 more in line. Scott, then Cecilia, then Dawn, and then we'll close it out with Luis. So, Scott, please go ahead.
Okay. Looks like I've clicked the right buttons. Well, I want to say that I am trying to teach my friends epistemology, the methods of science to ascertain truth. These are such nerdy concepts, but I mean, it's just so hard to actually determine what is the truth here, and without a correct understanding of truth, we just can't get there. So there's stuff on YouTube. If one just searches on philosophy of science, it's hard to remember epistemology, but just philosophy of science lecture or philosophy of science, you can find some wonderful professors and such who talk about the best things known to man about getting to truth, and there's no politics in it, nothing. It's all just about what do we know about that. One thing that we do know is that we're sort of wired for tribalism, and that is that there's the us and then there's the they, we need to really go beyond this primal wiring that we have in order to understand that we are all a we. One of the things that science has given us that is just, it is a gem. It is an absolute gem, and that is that we are all brothers and sisters. We are all cousins. We knew that. We know that from 2 different sources of endeavor. One is blood studies of genetic markers we find that we are all out of Africa. Another is a study of languages. It turns out that all the languages come from the same root language, and you can determine migration paths of peoples through that study. And again, it points to the same place. We are all out of Africa. We are literally all Africans. So this idea of looking down upon another people is just insanity. We are all Africans, my brothers and sisters. It's just so important to really look at one's own conditioning. I'm half Mexican. I have been treated like dirt for just 1 week when I was 11 years old, and I'm so glad, because I know what it feels like. I look white, but I know what it feels like. And I've been on the other end too, where I was walking home from school with my school buddy, and N-word this and N-word that, and I have no idea where this came from, but I just remember this lovely young neighbor of mine and schoolmate. She turns around and she tells me to shut up, and I'm saying, what? She says, shut up, and I'm saying, what? What's the problem? And then her friend turns around. I'd never seen her before, this beautiful young black girl, and she turns around. She's just looking at me in horror, absolute horror and shame. And I realized, oh my God, what did I just do? And so this friend of mine who had the courage to turn around and tell me to shut up, I will never forget. Terry Glatt is her name. I will never forget her. And I'm so thankful that she did that. So she spoke up, and that's what we need to do. Is we need to get the truth. We need to understand we're all cousins. We need to speak the truth, and then we need to vote. Thank you so much for bringing this to discussion, Dorayne. So many good thoughts from so many people here. That's all I got.
Wow. Namaste, and thank you, Scott, for bringing the science behind it all. We are all African from Africa.
Namaste. Yes.
Namaste. And this going beyond the tribal us and them, going beyond that, this is what's up for us and them. The continuous conversation of perpetuating that myth really is what it is a myth. Okay, Doug.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Dawn is next. Go, Dawn.
Yesterday, I think the occurrences took hold of me, and I felt really helpless, sad, and hurt. Hurt because the families involved were hurting. George's family, the policeman family, and every other person involved. Well, Spirit would have it that I'm in a healing racism group, and my colleague from South Africa, she is white, she sent out an email very early yesterday morning commenting and giving us hope. And I responded how I felt helpless and sad and hurt. And so the entire group came together, called an emergency meeting to talk about what was going on. Yesterday, I stayed in my room most of the day. And I must thank Dorayne for inviting me to her workshops. I started writing. And I wrote, I said, let me write. I wrote a poem And then I try to make it better. And that took me more than 24 hours. I went to bed after 12 o'clock this morning, trying to get a perfect poem. And that writing soothed my soul. I'm glad to be here today to hear everybody talk about how they feel, how they're feeling about the situation. I think every culture has its own bit of racism because I'm from South America, and my country had 6 races and we had our racism. And it was sown to us, that was what I was told from the Europeans. The British came and they told us we're different. And because we see ourselves different from each other, we hurt each other. We forget that we're all humans. We're all God's creation. So if you would give me permission, maybe after the next person finish, I'll read my poem to you.
I would actually like to hear your poem now. Okay.
Well, you could ask the other person to speak while I find it.
Fair enough. Doug, while she finds her poem, who is
Okay.
next?
Thank you, Don. We look forward to that. I'm going to mute you. Luis was next, and then Renee will be after Luis. And Luis, we lost you a couple times there. Are you still able to talk to us there? Hang on a second. Let me unmute you.
And before Louis starts, what I want to say is that we are at the top of the hour. And if you need to go, thank you. Namaste. Thank you for joining our heart and soul gathering today. You are light. You are love. You are the power and presence of divine here on this planet for a purpose. And your purpose is to be exactly who you are with the heart and soul that you are. And I am adding to that so that we all are remembering who we are and making that difference for those who have forgotten. So if you need to go, bless you, thank you. And we will continue because this is important to me and to many others to hear what else needs to be shared so that we all are supported in this time. So thank you.
Okay, Luis, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I did have words to talk about, good stuff, but I could use this time to do that. It's not very long, the power of kindness, if you like. You want me to do that or just talk?
Absolutely. Please do that because we need the power of kindness.
Okay.
We need that right now.
So to everyone, this is called, Ooh, I Believe in the Power of Kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Okay. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love. Power of love. We don't know what's coming. We can sure make love what's ahead. With kindness as our currency, Commonwealth is in our hands. So give a little, or give a lot, don't stop. A helping hand makes the world go round. There's more than enough. Ooh, I believe in the power of can help shape what's ahead. With kindness as our currency, Commonwealth is in our hands. So give a little, or give a lot, don't stop. A helping hand makes the world go round. There's more than enough. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love, the power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Ooh, I believe in the power of love, the power of love.
Woo! Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
We talked about singing and songs also being powerful tools during this time. I know that I have been listening to many different kinds of songs that remind me, to uplift me, to bring me back to my truth. Songs are powerful. Thank you, Luis, for that song. I believe in the power of kindness. I believe in the power of love. I believe that good must come out of this. And that is like my ultimate prayer from all of this, that good comes out of this. I believe in the power of kindness, and there's nothing more powerful than love. That's the most powerful force in the universe. Thank you for singing that for us.
Thank you.
And did you say it was Renee, Doug?
Correct. Renee's got her hand up, and then we can go back to Dawn. Did you find your poem? Okay. So your call, Dorayne. You want to go Renee or Dawn?
Dawn found her poem? Yes.
Yeah.
Dawn, let's hear from you, and then we'll go to Renee.
Okay, very good. Okay, Dawn, go ahead,
Yes,
please.
dear. Okay, my poem is entitled Alive. I am conscious of living, conscious of my aliveness. I experience the joy of living. I feel the pain of hurts. Feel the happiness from healing, healing the wounds of injustice, healing the wounds of prejudice, healing the wounds of supremacy. I am alive. I live to experience what it is to be human. Human, God's impression of itself. Itself, yes, himself, herself in me. I am a micro being of creation. What matters to form part of the whole universe? I live among the good and the not so good choices. I live among the loving and the not so loving acts. This pendulum of occurrences have disrupted my peaceful living, causing me to stand still for a moment and to gaze, trying to come to terms with what is being expressed, its effect on me. For the universe is all the experiences experienced in the beauty, the amazement, the happiness, the joys. I live as a human with the Creator's impression. My mold is a beautiful piece of the art to fit together with the other molds to express perfection, beauty, good, unity, love, wonder, strength. I live as a human with the experiences of pain, pain caused by fear. When I step away from the impression of the goodness of the universe, I see me as better than you, my human. When I see you as a threat, when I see you through the color of your skin, when I see you as powerless, powerful, forgetting that the creator's expression is all the things we see the creator's mold. Beautiful expression, I am alive. I am the expression of the universe. I unfold the beauty of the universe. You unfold the beauty of the universe. I see you as part of the manifestation of the Creator, expressing the good of the universe. Brown, black, yellow, fair, red, pink are the colors of humans. Beautiful decoration for the universe. We are alive, expressive molds of the creative universe, of love, of abundance, of beauty, of wonder, of intelligence, all the same in the power of love. Beautiful admiration. Wow. I am universal expression. I am alive. And that's my poem.
Thank you.
Wow.
That is fantastic.
Wow.
Beautiful, Dawn. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. Dawn, do we have permission to put that on our heart and soul?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what we'll do is we'll take that piece and we'll have it separated as your poem. It's called I Am Alive.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was so, it was like someone just said, wow, beautiful poem. It was so, you speak for me, you speak for many people. Thank you for taking the time, 24 hours to make that poem. It was so well worth it because you just said it all in that poem.
And thank you for
so
being
much.
there in Allen, Texas. And you invited me to your workshops, to your writing. So because you spoke about writing, the artist journal, you've left an imprint in me that I should write when things are beyond my control.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you
Thanks.
for listening. Thank you for taking the inspiration and then now inspiring all of us.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. And what your poem speaks to me too about what Dr. Jonathan talked about having that faith and hope. Like it's all in there, you know, and the affirmation that we are here and we are experiencing the beautiful diversity that is all one. Thank you so much for that. And I in a short, for me, the whole idea of saying this and not that and this and not that is ridiculous. I living here in Kauai, I'll go a half block and can count 20 different kinds of trees. I mean, that's how much diversity is here just in trees alone. And I would never ever say, oh, let's take out that coconut tree, and oh, we don't want that cow tree, we don't want, you know, it was like, oh, trees, it's all beautiful. And your poem is like, humans, all beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. We expect more poems from you in the future, by the way. That was so beautiful. Thank you. Okay, the next person and the last person with their hand up is Renee. So Renee, please proceed.
Okay, can you, buttons unpushed. Dawn, thank you.
Hear you.
Can you now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Dawn, thank you. It was truly, truly wonderful. You all are just smiling. You're just amazing. And I love you, and I can feel the love from you. Dawn, your poem reminded me of what we know to be true, which is that we are the one expressing as the many. And as I listened to all of you today, it was so nice. I took the opportunity to write your names down so I could connect names and faces, you know, and to feel and to sense and to love you. I just, from Deb to Pam to Dr. John and Jeff and Scott, Dawn and Luis, I'm just really grateful to be with you today. You know, and that agitator of yours, Dorayne, who pushed me today because I didn't feel like it. I was trying to mope, you know. I was trying to stay in the bed. I had a long day yesterday. I talked to 8 people and handled 8 people's pain. And I sometimes feel as though I'm standing in the gap. You know, that picture of God and man in the Sistine Chapel. You know, I've got one hand on one and one hand on other trying to connect them. And during this week, it's been particularly hard and particularly trying. But there are things that I'd like to share to empower you with, I pray. And one of them, that in that Bible for 365 times, it says, fear not. Fear does not belong to us. For those of us who are awakened, those of us who are star seeds and light workers and way showers, we are here for such a time as this, to feel what is going on, not to ignore it, to feel it. We cry about it. It makes us sad. It makes us mad. It makes us a lot of things. But we know at the end of the day, and at whether that's 1,000 years from now or not, that the divine will be reestablished in clarity with all things. And that is where our focus needs to be. And in this moment, we simply need to see each other as parts and portions of the divine. Now, that's easier when I know that I'm in relationship with the divine itself. So where is the divine in your life, and how are you working with that? And there's always a way to go deeper. And there's always those affirmations and proclamations and songs and whatever puts us in the center of our knowingness about the divine that is within us. If it's inside of me, then I can let it shine. It goes back to that childhood song we sang, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And if there was ever a time to let it shine, it would be now. I so appreciated Pam's comment about take the time to connect. Take the time to love somebody. And this power of love. You know, you can look into any situation and be, as we are reminded, about the Christ hanging on the cross. It's that, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. People are not their behavior. And yes, the oppression, suppression, and exclusivity has made people nuts and crazy to be heard. I get that. Do I agree with the way that they do it? No, I don't. But that's their expression of it, and there are things, and we can move past that. What is ours to do is to know that there is something better, and that we are part of the something better. And to get that something better to guide and direct our every conversation, our every thought. There was a question once that came to someone that said, listen, I need to know that people can walk through my mind unharmed. Can those people walk through your mind unharmed? And like it or not, my beloveds, we are the light of the world. It's on us because we know. So it's a matter of strengthening ourselves, laying aside the weight and the craziness, and knowing that whatever it is, God is bigger than this. And God in me, as me, and through me is bigger than this. And to keep loving. I'm so grateful that Dorayne called me out today. I don't know what to do because I'd have sat up here in a little ball trying to cry about the whole thing. And it's like that's not serving anything. That may have been that may have been okay for the moment, but it's still not good enough. So I think that, and to know that that love, whether you see it or not, alchemicalizes what is going on. Give me the strength to, I love scripture. And I give me the strength of Daniel in that lion's den, and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown into that fiery furnace, that I can stand for what I know to be right. Do I have to push it on people? No. Because one thing is for sure, if I'm really carrying it, if I really did not leave home without it, they can see it on me. So you want to make it look, so you want to make love look so good that people are going, what is it that you have? Why is it that you smile? And remember the power of your mind, that you can see situations differently than what is in front of you. And by seeing it in peace and seeing it harmonious and seeing it reconciled and feeling how you feel about that when you see it. How do you feel to know that the world can be reconciled? How do you feel when you can see that women doctors are being paid not 97% less, but the same as male doctors who are doing the same work? How do you feel when people know that it is the presence within them that makes their way and not their job? That a way will get made one way or another. That there are laws, I'm gonna get off this because I can feel it urging in me now. There are laws in this universe that really have no respect of any of the things that we like to separate ourselves with. Because in that knowingness, we indeed are one. I love you all today, and I'm so grateful that you were there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And blessings, blessings, blessings. I love you. I love you.
We love
Thank
you.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Renee. That was
Yes,
incredible.
Renee.
Blessings.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right back at you. In Hawaiian, it's mahalo.
Mahalo.
And in mahalo, and in the mahalo, in the middle is the ha, which is the breath, which is life itself. Thank you for being that breath of life that speaks the truth, reminding us, remembering us to fear not, to go deeper, because wherever we are, we can always go deeper. That seeing things differently and feeling things differently is ours to do. What is there to do? That's ours to do. Thank you. Thank you.